welcome to the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, CK013. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013. And I'm joined once again by one of Wise Take's finest DFS analysts, Mr. KamG333. That's KamG333. You can find him on Twitter at KamG DFS. Cam obviously does the MLB cheat sheets for us here at the Wise Take Nation. Cam, my man, how you doing tonight, bro?
Pretty good. I was talking to you before the show. Like, it wasn't a slate tonight that I really loved. Like, I just loved like all the chalky plays. So I didn't really play like a whole lot of volume. Still threw some stuff out there, but kept it a little light today. So hopefully this slate that we're going through today is a little bit better, and I can find some off the board plays. So I'm not just playing the plays that everyone else likes. But also, this is like really random. But do you ever have just like random like cuts or something on your body that you're like, how in the hell did that get there?
Not so much in my days now. When I was younger and I was actually doing shit all the time, bro. All the time. Sit down, have a huge scratch on my leg. I'm like, how the hell? Like, you know?
I just looked down at my calf and I have like this cut that like is bleeding. Like from like a scab that I picked or something. I'm like, what in the, how did that get there?
You know, it used to happen to me, man. When I was younger and I would like take out the trash. I don't know why, but when I was like growing up in my family's house, they always had like glass. And like my family's not drinkers. They're like, there's not beer, but it would always be like broken glass somehow. I guess we're just clumsy. And I would like take out the trash, look on my phone, I pay attention, and a piece of glass would usually cut the back of my leg, and I wouldn't even notice. By the time I got back to my house from the trash, I'd be like, there's blood on the floor all over my leg, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just like, you know. So that kind of stuff has happened to me before. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean, man. When you're young and you're out and about, that's going to happen, bro. When you're young, you're out and about like Cammy is. Cammy's up early, wakes up at 4 in the morning, going to the gym, doing his camp stuff. Things happen, bro. Things happen.
Yeah, I had one of my good buddies that lives in Denver. I met him in college. He came back for the weekend over Memorial Weekend, so I was with him this weekend, and we had a late night a couple of days ago, so that probably contributed to it. But
a late night a couple of days ago, and you're waking up with bruises and cuts, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, who knows what happened?
Who knows? I know when Cam gets down, all hell breaks loose. Nobody remembers nothing. Nobody knows nothing. Cam works hard, but when it's time to party, Cam does everything hard. He works hard. He parties hard.
You might as well, right? Like if you're gonna drink or something, you might as well just do it.
Hey man, I'm with it, man. I got no complaints on that aspect. How about those Kansas City Royals, the Minnesota Twins Kansas City Royals? Yeah, I just saw that. Today, the formula was very simple to win today. Just all you had to do was play Max Scherzer and then just stack the hell out of the Royals and Twins game. That game was just going bananas. Me and Johnny were telling guys we like the Twins. Did not see the Royals part coming. I did not see them putting up these. I mean, it was a great hitting environment, but still, I didn't see them doing what they did tonight. But those of you who did, shout out to you, man. Nice call. I did see. I think right now in the contest that I'm in, that's clearly winning by far. Scherzer, who won a monster game. And then they played, because it was cheap. You could fit a lot of those guys in there. Even that dude that Johnny always talks about, the Alejandro, whatever his name is, the guy that, in my opinion, sucks, hit a home run today at 2,500 on FanDuel. So it's like, of course. Just one of those days.
Ryan Goings has 17 FanDuel or DraftKings points, so it's one of those days.
Oh, yeah. Wild. But I agree with you, man. I couldn't really get off the chalk today. I mean, like, it's not like we're rookies. We know that playing the chalk is extremely risky in baseball, but it was really tough to get off of it, man. It was really hard to find like a second SP2. It looks like Matt Moore is going to be that guy. Wow. I can't stand Matt Moore. I hate him. I don't know who I dislike more, Matt Moore or the Seattle Mariners. I'm still debating which one I dislike more, but I don't know.
Or Dave Roberts.
Or Dave, oh my gosh, that guy. Don't even get me started on that dude. And we got Kershaw today. We got the return of Clayton Kershaw. That'll make things interesting.
Yeah. Now he's going to let Kershaw go like 130 pitches. And he'll just be tilted.
Super tilted. And then Kershaw get hurt again. And he'll go out there, dominate, put up like 70, and then he'll get hurt again. That'll probably be what happens. But we got plenty of time to talk about that when we get to the Dodger game. In the meantime, Cam, we do have ourselves. Rob Refsnyder just hit a home run. You know it's a wacky day when Rob Refsnyder is hitting home runs.
I'm glad I played light today.
Yeah, it was a good day to go light for sure. Anyway, we got this. We're gonna get this main slate started. I think we only have like 9 games, so it's a nice size slate. Not too big, not too small. I kind of like it. We'll see what it has for us. Right now, I can tell you that I see Sonny Gray of the New York Yankees are visiting Andrew Kashner of those Baltimore Orioles. Could have some rain. Looks like 78 degrees, 37% chance of precipitation, 80% humidity. So it's nice hitting weather, but it looks like it could rain, so you may have to monitor this. The total right now is 10, and Baltimore is plus 155 at home. The Yankees are just red hot right now. Baltimore, ice cold. What do you got, Cam?
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting because I like the spot for the Yankees, obviously. At Camden Yards here, pretty good hitting weather if the rain can stay away. But just looking into it briefly, it looks like Cashner's actually had pretty good history against these guys. I'd have to look into it a little bit more when these games were and everything. But overall, as a whole team here, 67 at-bats, 209 average, 11 strikeouts, and 2 home runs. So for the most part, he's had pretty good numbers when you're looking at like a stack point of view here for the Yankees. But if you're looking just for a couple one-offs, I think you can definitely find some guys that are going to be in play, like Judge, Torres, and then even like a Bird or something along those lines. I think you could probably pick off like a one-off here pretty easily for the Yankees. I'm sure Cashner will give one up at some point tomorrow, but it makes it interesting just because if you're looking for a way to get off like a chalky stack team like the Yankees, that could be a way to get off them, is just based off of like some history with Cashner. And I can believe it because Cashner is a guy that like he does have the stuff and like ability to be able to somewhat limit a team from doing like a whole bunch of damage. I don't think I ever really like stack all too much against Cashner just because he doesn't give up a ton of home runs for the most part, maybe like one max of like 2 a game, and like doesn't pitch deep, but 5-6 innings, like 3 to 5 runs, which you don't love when you're stacking a team. It's kind of annoying when they're not getting those ceiling games. So I don't know. I'll have to look into a little bit more. Sonny Gray, on the other hand, here against Baltimore, we definitely know the upside Baltimore presents for an opposing pitcher. We saw it today with Max Scherzer. Obviously, he's one of the best pitchers in the league, so that's a different scenario there. But just in general speaking, Baltimore's numbers versus right-handed pitchers this year is really bad. Last 14 days have the second highest strikeout percentage as well versus right-handed pitchers. So they're continuing that trend. So if Sonny Gray is on his game with some of his off speed and can locate pitches and everything, there is a path where at 6'7" he does have upside. But at the same time, it's just not a safe play by any means. Definitely going to be one that you're going to want to dig into a little bit before you click on his name there. But we'll acknowledge at first look that he's going to be someone we're going to have to look into a little bit, but definitely is risky. And then you can definitely counteract that with some of the Baltimore bats here just because of how volatile Sonny Gray is. Preferably, I would just pick like a Adam Jones or a Manny Machado, kind of keep it relatively safe with guys who have been hitting consistently here. A lot of the other guys are inconsistent for me to really play.
Yeah, I think that the Andrew Kashner, one of the biggest trolls out there in DFS, you always think he's going to get destroyed. His numbers are terrible, and then he never really does. The Yankees should be the most popular stack by far. I think Sonny Gray is interesting. I got to see how he profiles because he's looked really bad this year. And Baltimore, because of how bad Sonny Gray has looked, Baltimore is somewhat interesting. We do know that they have been able to beat up on some bad pitchers in the past. So this game definitely is going to have a lot of attention. I think that the Yankees should be the most popular stack on the board, and for good reason. Really good hitting environment. Bad pitcher on the other side. So we'll have to wait and see what we want to do. I'm going to want to profile these guys, see how they do. But it's interesting to know that Kashner's had success against these guys individually. Definitely something worth noting. Next game, we got Jose Quintana, the lefty from the Chicago Cubs, visiting Seth Lugo of my New York Mets. The total in this game is 8. The Mets plus 153 at home, 66 degrees, 91% humidity. Looks like a nice day for pitching. Not going to be too warm. It is going to be humid, but again, not really enough heat there to have the ball carry. What are you doing here, Cam? What do you think? First look.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Quintana's a guy that I haven't really even researched all that much this year. I feel like he usually pitches on like weird day games or like weekends where I'm not playing or something like that. So I'll have to look into him a little bit more because I don't really remember really digging in too deep, and I feel like I know almost everyone in the MLB. But this is interesting because we know just like the trend with the Mets, right, versus left-handed hitters this year, or left-handed pitchers this year. Last 14 days, they have a 30% strikeout percentage, 113 ISO, 77 WRC plus as well. So that trend is continuing, and it's just been like a money nut spot to go to start the year, and it's definitely something you have to acknowledge here. On the year, they have a 27% strikeout percentage and under a 100 ISO as well versus lefties. So you can't really get much better of a spot here. Pitching in New York, really good pitching conditions as well. New York is Citi Field is a pitcher's ballpark. I almost just said that New York is a city field.
New York is the city of dreams, my friend. It's the city that never sleeps.
But this is like a really good spot for Quintana. So I'm going to have to look into him, make sure that everything's okay with him. And this could be a spot at 7.5 where he has a whole bunch of upside. So I like him, even though I don't really like playing Quintana. He's kind of like one of those guys that I was talking to you about. Maeda, just never feel good about him being in my DFS lineups come lock. But on the other side here, Lugo versus the Cubs. I do have interest in the Cubs, but it's not like a great environment and a great hitting park here. But I do like some of these guys like Schwarber, Rizzo, Bryant would be my 3 guys that I would really be looking at. I'm not sure if I get to like a full Cubs stack here just because it's not the best environment. But Rizzo's heating up. Schwarber always has power, enough power to get it out of any ballpark. And Chris Bryant is Chris Bryant. So mostly Cubs for me in this one.
Yeah, Sorry. This is definitely a good spot on paper for Quintana. He's a guy that I don't typically play much. He's, like you said, he hasn't been on the slate, I feel like, as much as some of these other guys. The Cubs in general, though, miss a lot of slates. I feel like they play to like weird times a lot of the time. Yeah,
Wrigley. Right, they always play during games at Wrigley, yeah.
Right. So Quintana at 7.5 on DraftKings, definitely in play. The Mets, one of the highest strikeout teams against lefties. I will say that the addition of like Devin Mazzaraco, Ahmed Rosario, not that he's an addition, but some of these guys, and even Jose Bautista, have helped a little bit against lefties, but still, there is immense upside taking lefties against these Mets. Currently, the Mets are second in the league in strikeouts to lefties. They've passed the Rangers, 27.1% currently. That's a extremely high strikeout rate. They're just not very good. Their best hitters are all left-handed. It's just not good. Brandon Nimmo, as hot as Nimmo has been, he's got like a 40% strikeout rate to lefties. Conforto is something around the same. So it'll be interesting to see what lineup we get. But definitely Quintana on paper seems like a great spot to go to. I think he had a really good game against the Reds recently too. Great pitching atmosphere, great pitching park. There was actually a fire at Citi Field today. There was no games there. They were in Atlanta, but there was a fire.
I saw that on Twitter.
No idea what it was. I had to run, so I didn't get to dig into it. But I know there was a fire, like an explosion or fire. I don't know. Either way, Quintana definitely have interest on first look. And to be honest, Seth Lugo at 4K, that's way too cheap for that dude. He's not a bad pitcher. The only reason he didn't make the cut is because they were playing around with Matz and Harvey and Vargas and all these guys. But to be honest, Seth Lugo is probably a better pitcher than Harvey, Matz, and Vargas. He's only 4K on DraftKings. I think that if I really wanted to stack up all those Yankees, I think Lugo is a guy I could look to. Don't get me wrong. It's not that I want to pick on the Cubs, but this is a good pitching atmosphere. And again, Lugo is 4K. I think that's just too cheap for him. For the upside he has. He's not a huge strikeout guy, but he's typically pretty good at limiting damage. And him and Giselman are actually pretty good. We saw when the Mets had their injuries last year that Lugo and Giselman pitched pretty well in their time filling in. So I think this is a spot where I like both pitchers, and I'm not crazy about either of the bats.
Do you know how long he would be able to pitch though? It looks like he's only gotten over 35
he's been
in the last couple months.
He's been their long reliever, but last year they used to let him and Giselman start when the Mets had some injuries, and they would let him go. So it's a good point. Maybe he's not stretched out fully, but he's pitched a lot recently in relief. So I do think that they would kind of let him go, especially because the Mets bullpen is like taxed right now. They're really, really taxed. They've been used so much, double headers, and they're just worn. So again, I don't mind taking some of these Cubs for that purpose, just because how bad the Mets bullpen's been. But Lugo is actually decent, so at 4K, I think I could go there, only if I needed it. Do I think he's going to go out there and throw 30 DraftKings points? No. But if I decide I need it, which I don't know if we do, there's no cores on the slate, I could go there for sure. Next up, we got Trevor Williams of the Pittsburgh Pirates visiting Jack Flaherty of the St. Louis Cardinals. Total here is 8.5, St. Louis minus 160. I think these guys just played each other recently in Pittsburgh. 77 degrees in St. Louis, 78% humidity. Seems like nice conditions for hitting. We do have some possible light rain, though. Only 19% chance of precipitation, nothing major. What do you got?
Yeah, I think Flaherty is a good pitcher here. I just don't love the matchup against Pittsburgh. They don't strike out about, as you can see in the last matchup they had, only 4 Ks in 6 innings. Maybe you could project him for 1 or 2 more, but I don't see any more than that tomorrow for him. So at 9.2, he's a little too expensive for me to pull the trigger, and I don't think he has that upside necessarily as you've seen in like a nut matchup like against Philly. But I will acknowledge he's still in play if you want to play him. I just don't love the price there. Don't think there's much upside there with him. On the other side, I don't think I just don't really ever pick on Trevor Williams either, but I don't like pitch him at all. I don't know. He's kind of like a Cashner type guy, like we talked about. He could go 7 innings and not give up a run periodically, but I don't think he's like a great pitcher or anything to really have me believe that he's going to be able to do that consistently. Against the Cardinals, not a great matchup either, so I won't be going there. At 7K and St. Louis bats either, I don't really want to attack Williams just because, like I said, he's a guy that can go 6 innings, give up 3 runs, maybe a home run, but not upside for a stack for me here. So.
Yeah, I think in general for me, man, like this game is kind of a cross-off for me. I think Flaherty is a good pitcher. He did well for me in the times I played him, but I only play him in high strikeout matchups. And last time he saw these Pirates, he really had a hard time striking these guys out. And Trevor Williams is just a guy that I only like to take against bad offenses. I don't like taking him. One thing, I prefer to take him at home. The other thing, I want him against bad offenses. And while the Cardinals are not like extremely powerful, they're not the worst offense. They really don't strike out a ton, so I'm worried about the upside. They can be pesky. At the same time, the Cardinals have really not shown us any kind of upside at all. They've just looked horrible offensively, really looking like no power. They're not striking out all that much, but they're just not demonstrating a lot of power either. So this game, genuinely, my honest opinion, is kind of at least I'll dig into it tomorrow. We will be doing a strategy session tomorrow. But my first initial instinct is to just X this game out and move on. Really don't like anything from it.
I think you could maybe think about playing like Carpenter.
Sure.
He's been red hot. 400 average, 2 home runs off Williams, but really anything else in this game, I think, for me, is going to be a cross-off as well, like you were saying. Patio Joe is probably just jerking off right now in his house.
His Dodgers are hitting dongs left and right.
It's about time they're starting to do something. Holy shit.
I know. I'm so done with them. I hate their manager so much. Next game, though, we do. Speaking of the Dodgers, that's the next game. Aaron Nola of the Philadelphia Phillies visiting Clayton Kershaw, making his return from the DL of Patio Joe's Los Angeles Dodgers. Total here is 6.5. The Dodgers minus 145, 74 degrees, 43% humidity. One of the better hitting atmospheres considering it's LA. You don't get a ton of that out there. It's usually like cool, breezy, not super humid. What do you think, man? What are you doing with Clayton Kershaw, Aaron Nola? What are you doing here?
I don't think there's any way you can play Kershaw tomorrow. They didn't give him a discount at all, so he's 11-7. Do you know if he had like a rehab start or anything? I have no idea. That's something I'll have to look into a little bit more. But I mean, I know Philly's like not a really scary matchup now that Hoskins is out as well. He wasn't really scary to begin with, but he's just kind of a guy you're always scared of, no matter how he's hitting as well. But I don't know, man. 12K for Kershaw on DraftKings, that seems a little bit too much. A lot of question marks around him. It's just not really my type of play. So I don't think I'm going to go there tomorrow at all. Actually, I know I'm not going to go there tomorrow at all. So he is crossed off my list. I'll try and find someone else. If he goes out there, strikes out 12 coming off the DL, and Dave Roberts lets him pitch over 100 pitches, then I'll just tip my cap and move on to Friday. But I have a feeling that he gets limited to 80, 90 pitches, and who knows? He could be healthy, but we've seen the stuff that we've seen so far this year from Kershaw hasn't really impressed me enough to pay 12K for him. So I'll move on. On the other side here, that being said, I'm not going to attack Kershaw, but Nola here versus the Dodgers. I have to look into the numbers quick. I feel like the Dodgers have been a lot better recently. Just not a team that I want to pick on. Yeah, they haven't been striking out as much versus righties. Only a 21% clip in the last 2 weeks. ISO's coming up compared to at the beginning of the year. And we're seeing it obviously tonight as well. And I feel like we've seen it for the last week or so here too, that they've just had a little more pop in their bat. So they're starting to turn it around. I don't believe they've seen Nola all that much. So yeah, it looks like Nola's pitched like one game against him, or against this team. He owns Matt Kemp, 0 for 11, but outside of that, the most at-bats any of these guys have is 3. So I don't know, at 11K, like I get why he's priced like that, but it's just too much for me against a Dodgers team at home that is starting to play a little better now that they have Justin Turner back. So I don't know if I'd like that spot either for Nola.
Yeah, Nola's the kind of guy that I really need righties. I need a lot of righties. His splits are pretty drastic in terms of strikeouts. I think he has closer, maybe it's over, but if not over, then close to a 30% K rate against righties. And only like a 12.5 for sort of lefties. That number probably came up from his last start. But it's drastic. It's really drastic. So if the Dodgers roll out some crazy right-handed heavy lineup, I could do it. I'll go to Nola. But if they roll out a bunch of lefties, which I think they will because they have them, it might back me off of Nola. Kershaw's a guy I'm going to have to sit on and think about. I do think that considering it's Clayton Kershaw, the price isn't terrible. This is a guy that's normally priced in the Max Scherzer range. But knowing that his manager is Dave Roberts, is his first game back from the DL, it terrifies me, man. I don't want to get my 8. I'm not going to. I probably won't. I don't want to get my 8. The other problem with the Phillies is while they strike out a ton against righties, they really don't strike out all that much against lefties. 21.8% as a team, 17th in the league in the bottom half. So I don't know if this is a great spot for Kershaw. I'm going to have to dig in, find out how many pitches he's going to be allowed to throw. Of course, you never know, because if he walks God forbid he walks 2 people in a row or one person, Dave Roberts is going to run out there with his trainer and make the pull. And like I sort of understand why Roberts does it. Like he does have a really good bullpen, so it's not like you're freaking out. Like you're like, it's no big deal. I'll just give it to my bullpen. I still hate him, still despise him, but I'll give my 2 cents there. But both of these pitchers are very expensive, so I think the lineup's going to be very important. Whether or not Kershaw, how deep he's going to go is going to be important. And for Nola, we need to see a bunch of righties. But other than that, man, this is going to be a game we're going to have to dig in on. I'm excited to break this one down on the strategy session tomorrow. For the White State Nation subscribers, quick plug. Next game. Tanner Rourke of the Washington Nationals visiting Sean Newcomb of the Atlanta Braves. Total here is 8.5. Atlanta minus 120 at home. 80 degrees, 75% humidity. Great hitting environment. Great hitting park. What do you got?
Yeah. So I mean, at first look here, I'm gonna have interest in the Braves. Obviously, going up against Rourke in Atlanta, it's gonna be hot. Always like that for Atlanta when I'm looking for them, but They've been like sneaky kind of cold here versus righties the last couple weeks, so I don't know how much I love it. Rourke's like a decent pitcher, enough for me to kind of back off if a team's cold. So I don't know. That's gonna be another one that I'll have to dig into. Hasn't been terrible against them in the past, but it looks like they have a couple guys who have hit him well. So that's something to consider here. But I think the lefties for Atlanta are definitely in play when you're factoring that Rourke's on the mound in Atlanta. So wouldn't pitch Rourke, maybe a brave stack, but a little cautious just based off of the recent history here in the past couple weeks versus righties just seem a little bit cold, but could definitely break out of it tomorrow. And then Newcomb versus the Nationals is a really interesting spot. I don't love like the environment for him, but he's been really good this year. A lot better than last year. We sort of saw this coming last year, and now he's kind of living up to it. Has pitched pretty well in his like last 3 or 4 starts, 26, 26, 19, and then struggled against Boston. But I mean, I'm not going to hold that against him. And then now this Nationals team versus left-handed pitching isn't the best. They strike out at a decent clip, I believe. Let me look at it. Yeah, so actually, this is the spot I was looking at today. So at the beginning of the year, they were really bad versus lefties, but they've actually started to pick it up here in the past couple of weeks. So I'll have to look into who they've faced a little bit more, but I think Newcomb is a guy I'm going to have to look at 8-1 on this slate at DraftKings versus lefties where like Harper and Soto kind of like neutral. Harper's like, I mean, he's fine versus lefties, but he takes a significant decrease with the splits. So that's always a positive when a lefty's on the mound versus the Nationals. You don't have to worry about that. And then a lot of these like righties that they roll out like Severino and Defoe and Taylor aren't the scariest for me. So I'll have to look into Newcomb a little bit. He's a guy who's going to be on my short list here just at first look.
Yeah, I think Newcomb's a good pitcher. I think he's got a lot of talent. Don't know if this is a spot that I want to go to, him being at home playing the Nationals. I will say that the Nationals beginning of the season were terrible against lefties. Like you said, Cam, they're starting to come around a little bit here. Anthony Rendon's strikeout rate to lefties was ridiculous, and I don't anticipate. I kind of expected that to come down. Mark Reynolds has been a phenomenal addition for Washington. It's only a matter of time before he goes back to being the real Mark Reynolds. But in the meantime, the man's hot, so we'll leave it alone. I will say Trey Turner I only like as a stack play. I would not play Trey Turner as a one-off. We know that he's got reverse splits. He is not very good against lefties. Bryce Harper, not as good against lefties. Rendon normally is good against lefties, although he hasn't been this year. The guys that I have the most interest in are honestly, one of the guys I like the most here is going to be Michael Taylor. He's somebody that does a lot better against lefties than righties. The issue, of course, is I think Sean Newcomb is a good pitcher, so I'm not too interested in the Nationals. I mean, in my opinion, they must be cold. I mean, if you can't hit David Hess, you must be cold. That's all I can really say. You couldn't hit David Hess in Baltimore. Are you kidding me? But anyway, I think that Newcomb is definitely in play. The problem is the Nationals don't strike out a ton. There's still some strikeout upside, just not a whole bunch. Of course, it's going to depend on what lineup we get. But I think the Nationals are okay. I think Newcomb is okay. I'm kind of lukewarm on both. I would like the Braves. Like I want to say that I like the Braves offense. The problem is Tanner Rourke is he's another one of those troll guys, man. Like he goes out there, he can have a huge game. He's got like, you don't know what kind of floor he's got. You don't know what kind of ceiling. You don't know what you're going to get from Tanner Rourke. I know I'm not pitching him against Atlanta. I know that for sure. But he's another one of those dudes, man, that at times he just kind of escapes. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. Plus, Atlanta's been kind of cold. They've been a little disappointing, to be honest. I mean, Jason Vargas shut them down today. That was pretty embarrassing in my opinion. As a Met fan, I'm just saying. But, Freddie Freeman, Ozzie Albies, Markakis, and, these guys are all in play, of course. But again, nothing that excites me, Next game, Drew Pomeranz of the Boston Red Sox visiting Lance McCullers of the Houston Astros. Total here is 9. Houston minus 203 at home. 88 degrees, 60% humidity, and 13-mile-per-hour winds blowing out to center. Problem is they do have a retractable roof, so we'll have to double check tomorrow and see if they plan on opening or closing. If they open this roof, it's going to be a phenomenal hitting environment. But if they close the roof, it's just going to be same old Astros dome. But we'll have to see what they do tomorrow. Cam, what do you think?
Yeah, my guess is they'll probably close the roof tomorrow. This is weird. Like going up against like this Boston team, I know like McCullers is good, but 3.7 implied runs here. Really giving respect to McCullers. 8-9 on DraftKings. That's interesting. I know they're missing Mookie and everything. Maybe he comes back tomorrow, but this is turning out to be a really good slate. One that like you're not just gonna be able to look at and like figure out plays. Like I feel like there's gonna be an edge tomorrow to really like look into each game and dig deep into it because there is upside in McCullers, I think, just based off of what he like the stuff he has and everything. He has the highest swinging strike rate on the slate, 13%. I know Boston is not a good matchup when you're talking about facing a right-handed pitcher, but I don't know, man. I'm trying to find a pitcher that I can get upside out of, and he's interesting, but I'll have to dig deeper into it. On the other hand, like I do really like Houston bats. I was on them when they were playing CC like 2 days ago, and I think just a couple things didn't really go right. Watching that game, I was tilting again, of course, like always. But first inning, they were hitting them hard. Unfortunately, tried to steal a base double play that literally killed the inning, but they had runners on first and third right away. A couple other things happened later on in the game too versus CC. So I think like variance kind of went opposite in their favor. So they're one of the hotter teams versus left-handed pitching the past couple weeks here as well. So I do like them versus Pomeranz, who definitely has the ability to give it up here against Houston on the road. His last two outings have been really bad as well, giving up runs, but not as many home runs. But we'll see. I'll have to dig into it. But first look, I do like these Houston guys. Springer, of course. Bregman's been really good. And then Altuve has been white hot as well. And then a lot of these guys at the bottom, like the thing I like about Houston stack is it provides you some value here. So like JD Davis versus a lefty, Max Stasey as well versus a lefty are really good options, and under 3.8 on DraftKings as well at like a catcher position, which you're always kind of looking for cheaper plays as well. So I like a Houston stack tomorrow at first look here.
Yeah, my initial instinct is to play both bats. I really don't like to make a habit of targeting pitchers against Boston. If Boston is implied for that lower run total, I wonder if this is an opportunity for us to get Boston at lower ownership, something that's always hard to do, but when you get it, it's usually nice. So the Houston stack, a little bit more obvious to me. I know they've struggled a little bit against lefties, but like Cam said, they look like they were starting to turn it around a little bit of late. I know they got the CC. I don't think Drew Pomeranz is a very good pitcher. I think there are certain matchups you can take them. We'll check the profiles tomorrow. We know Pomeranz likes to throw his curveball. We'll have to see the profiles and see how Houston hits them. But first look, I love Houston. Just like you said, I mean, I think they're going to close the roof also. I'm praying if they open that roof, because if they do, I'm just going to go Game Stack City on at least one lineup. I like both bats. And McCullers doesn't really scare me, not against the Boston Red Sox. So I'm fine with it. There's very, very few pitchers I'll take against Boston, and they have to be left-handed. Righties against Boston, I don't really care who it is. I'm gonna take Boston bats against that guy. So my initial reaction is just same as you. Let's go bats. The Houston side a little bit more obvious, a little bit more easy against Pomeranz, but maybe we can get some Red Sox at low ownership when people see that 3.7 implied run total.
Next, kind of like a thing too. Don't you feel like Houston's bullpen's kind of been like shitty the last couple of weeks?
It does seem that way, but they did play like I think they have played some, like they played the Yankees just now in Yankee Stadium, who were just red hot. Like, so I don't know.
Yeah,
it does seem that way.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like
no. Yeah. Yeah. No. It's definitely a possibility. Something maybe we'll look into tomorrow. Next up, we got Shane Bieber, the cousin of Justin Bieber. I'm just kidding. I don't want anybody to think that I really believe that and start getting mad. I think that there's a lot of believers out there. I know. Are you a believer, Cam? You a Justin Bieber
No.
guy? No? No beeps? No beeps for you?
No. I mean, I don't mind him, but like, I'm not gonna play him consistently on my stuff. No way.
You're just DFS minded. You're not gonna play him. I know you meant music wise, but like it just sounded like I don't care what his price is. I'm not playing him.
He's too expensive for me tomorrow.
He's too expensive. Yeah. not a good matchup. Anyway, Shane Bieber of the Cleveland Indians visiting Jake Odorizzi of the Minnesota Twins, who just put up a shit ton of runs today with the Royals. Total here is 9. Minnesota plus 115 at home. 84 degrees and 52% humidity in Minnesota. Perhaps we see Minnesota's ballpark start to turn into the hitter's ballpark it was last year, now that we have some heat and humidity. What do you think, man?
Dude, I can't even find this guy on FanGraphs. I was trying to look him up before the show, and I couldn't even find him.
Looks like he's under the minor league category. I just found him.
Oh, that's why. Yep. God, yeah. You're so smart.
I am. It's better that you realize that now than later. It's to your advantage, trust me.
That's a tough look on me on the air. Jesus. Yeah, so I mean, this guy's 7'3", so they must think pretty highly of him to price him up here.
I'll give you a couple things that I found on him. So
yeah, you talk because I couldn't even figure out how to pull him up on a website, so I'll just shut up.
I'll tell you what he's done this year. So he started off the season in Double-A. In 2016 he was Single A, A-. I'm sorry. 2017 Single A. 2017 he got promoted to Single A plus. Then he got promoted to Double A plus. So he was doing really well. 2017 he spent the entire season, only had 9 stars. No, I'm looking at the same year. So he got promoted all the way up to Double A in 2017 from Single A, A plus to Double A. So he must have did well. This year he started off in Double A, had 5 starts, had an 8.71 K per 9, but virtually no walks. He had a 1.16 ERA and a 2.64 xFIP. Then they promoted him to AAA. He had another 5 starts. Still 8.13 K per 9. Virtually no walks. Virtually no home runs. And a 1.05 ERA and a 2.4 xFIP. So yeah, I would say that this kid is somewhat of a prospect.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah. I mean, I finally got to pull him up, and he looks pretty good to me.
Yeah.
Interesting. Don't love the matchup or the spot really for him in this ballpark against Minnesota, who's putting up runs. They have a couple power bats in their lineup, so it's definitely not like a safe spot by any means. But let me look here. Righties. So Minnesota 23% strikeout percentage versus righties past couple weeks here. So it's an okay matchup for him. He's going to be a guy that I'll have to look into a little bit more. And I think Odorizzi too, someone I'll have to dig into as well, but comes in the 4th highest swinging strike percentage on the slate behind Kershaw, Nola, and McCullers. Kind of sneaky there. Wouldn't have expected him to be there. And we've seen this Cleveland team. They can struggle on the road as well outside of Cleveland. I don't think Odorizzi's been terrible versus Cleveland as well. 104 at-bats, 240 batting average. So he's been pretty decent versus these guys. Might give up a home run or 2 tomorrow. But I think at 7-7, he is interesting and is going to be someone that I'm going to look into as well. But would acknowledge that like Cleveland bats are well in play as well. Brantley, Lindor I like a lot. Jose Ramirez, and then the first baseman as well. Both of those dudes, I like those guys a lot as well.
Yeah, I refuse to believe that Jake Odorizzi is all of a sudden really good. I know that the results have been there for him, but he's an extreme fly ball pitcher. His ground ball rate this season is 25.2%. His ERA is only 3.3, but his xFIP is 4.77. He is striking guys out, but that's not something that Houston does. Cleveland does. I do like Cleveland. I know I agree with you, Cam. Like sometimes they could be a little shoddy on the road, but they seem to be pretty hot right now. And this is a great hitting environment. Well, with the weather that we're going to see. One thing I will say about Shane Bieber, I just read an interesting thing from CBS. It doesn't sound all that flattering about him. Basically, what I'm seeing, despite his numbers, it says Bieber wasn't a big-time prospect coming into the season, largely due to a lack of projectability. He doesn't have great stuff, with scouting reports noting a fastball that sits more in the low 90s, and without the kind of swing and miss stuff you typically want from a right-handed pitching prospect. They're saying that they're admitting that it hasn't mattered for him so far. He's got a 23.9% career strikeout rate, and that's mainly because Bieber doesn't walk anybody, is what they're saying. They said like in his entire minor league career this season, he only walked like 3 people total. So that was evident in the stats. Like they're comparing him to like Daniel Mengden and Miles Mikolas, which is, don't get me wrong, those are guys that are getting it done. But yeah, they're basically saying that he's not like some dominant strikeout dude. He doesn't really throw hard, doesn't have anything amazing. He just throws strikes.
That's like a weird. Yeah.
Isn't that a terrible analogy? Like, don't get me wrong, those are good guys. But, like, if I'm a prospect, I want to be compared to, like, the elite guys, the strikeout dude. That's flashy. That's sexy. Miles Mikolas and Daniel Mengden. I play those guys sometimes in the right matchup, but they are not sexy plays. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those are not sexy kind of things. You don't feel great about that. But interestingly enough, like, I was a little surprised. But that's not, like, really selling me on him. It's like you've had success in the minors. You're coming up to the majors. You're playing a team that's pretty hot in a ballpark that's, looks like a good hitting environment, at least on this particular day. So I'm a little skeptical. We'll have to wait and see. On top of that, I really only like to attack the Twins with lefties. The question, I think, is going to be if we want to play the Twins. The Twins are 16th in the league in strikeouts to righties. Compare that to 7th in the league to lefties. So don't think I'd go to Mr. Bieber, but I do like the bats. I like the Cleveland bats for sure. The Twins bats, I do want to look at this Shane Bieber dude. We don't know what he throws. I'm gonna try to dig deep a little bit tomorrow and find out what I could find out, because the Twins have been heating up. We like them against righties. We'll have to see. But Bieber's numbers can't be ignored. Like this is 2 years in a row now that he's dominated the minors. So something we'll have to look into.
One thing I would say is I feel like there's some merit to playing like a guy in his first MLB start, just because. Yeah, like nobody's seen him, like adrenaline and everything. Like I've seen it before where guys just come out with their first start, like 5-6 innings, maybe like a run or two. Like just because no one's seen him, they don't really know what to expect. He can get through the first round of at bats pretty easily and kind of go from there. So that's what makes him somewhat interesting. And then I like the fact that he doesn't walk anyone and like everything like that. But yeah, definitely. I feel like we keep saying it, but it's very true. Like, gonna have to dig into it more. It kind of seems like one of those slates. Like, you're gonna have to definitely do research tomorrow to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One other thing I'll throw out there, Cam, you've been pretty adamant on Cleveland's bullpen being terrible this year. You've been preaching that for a while, and so that's something else to keep in mind. We have a rookie on the hill. If he does well, great. If he doesn't do well, number one, we don't know how long of a leash he's going to have making his first start. And number two, if for any reason he's struggling, like with that kid that pitched today, the super big prospect, everybody made such a huge deal about Reyes, I think his name is, and he was horrible.
Yeah, against the Brewers.
He was terrible. Couldn't throw a strike to save his life. And so if we see a similar situation to that, and we see Cleveland's bullpen step in, things could really get interesting for the Minnesota side.
There's just so many question marks, like when a guy comes up from whatever that it's honestly like just throwing like a dart. You really have no idea. It's just like an educated guess, pretty much. Like it's hard to be confident in anything that you're saying when you're talking about a guy who's never pitched in the MLB before. Like it's one of those things where if you want to and like take a chance on him, you can, but you definitively have no idea what's going to happen there.
Right. Next up, we got Y.N. Chen, the lefty from the Miami Marlins, visiting Jordan Lyles of the San Diego Padres. Looks like the total in this game is 7.5. San Diego minus 144 at home, 66 degrees, 64% humidity, a typical beautiful San Diego day in a huge pitcher's ballpark. Y.N. Chen has been better, I have to admit. He was horrible when he first came back, but he has been a little better, or at least he's got good matchups because guys haven't been blowing him up. And his price is up to 6-1. What do you think, Cam?
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, that's weird. Jesus Christ, dude. This slate is messed up. I don't mind it. Like, I think you can always play a guy against the Padres, but with that being said, like, I feel like I have a little bit of interest first look here in some Padres. Like we were talking about pre-show, Fran Reyes again while we were on the show just hit a home run. Looking at this lineup, like you have Hunter Renfroe versus a lefty, Christian Villanueva versus a lefty, like all really good spots for those three. Jose Perella is fine, and like all these guys are super cheap. Uh, Fran Reyes is 2.8, like love that. Renfro like 3.6, not very. The only guy that's expensive is Villanueva. So yeah, I have a little bit of interest in the Padres. I kind of wish like I kind of wish this spot was like Jesus, got a carrot in my throat. I wish this spot was like on tonight's slate because that would have allowed me like easier access to really feel confident about paying up for Scherzer. But I kind of do like a little bit of a Padres stack here, and then on the other side here, Miami bats versus Jordan Lyles. Like, I mean, Jordan Lyles isn't good at all, really, but I think he can get hidden by this San Diego ballpark. A guy who can give up home runs, but probably less likelihood against this Miami team, and especially in this ballpark. So I don't really think like this is a scenario where I want to play Miami bats against him, but like I don't think I'd pitch him either. I don't
Yeah.
know. Most
No,
San Diego.
I'm with you, man. I think San Diego's interesting against Chen. I don't. I think Chen has just been kind of getting lucky, kind of squeezing by. His xFIP is 5.88. He really has been that bad. Home run per nine is still over 2. His BABIP is low, indicating he has gotten lucky. Super high fly ball rate. I think there's a good chance that some of these Padres put one over the fence. Hunter Renfroe, Franmil Reyes, Christian Villanueva. I do think the Padres stack. I don't think I can ever do like a full 5-man or 4-man, but I can a 2 or 3 I think is in play here against YN Chen. Very low ownership kind of play. Nobody's coming here, so I think in tournaments that's alive. Lyles against Miami, no thank you. I just don't like picking on Miami. It's not something I like to do. At
Yeah.
the same time, I don't really want to play Miami either. But yeah, I think that I would prefer the Padres bats, and that's pretty much it from this game. Last game on the slate, Cam, we got Mike Minor, the lefty from the Texas Rangers, visiting Wade LeBlanc, the lefty from the Seattle Mariners. James Paxton is a douche, by the way. Total here is 8. Seattle minus 150. Typical Seattle weather, 60 degrees, a little bit of humidity, but overall, great pitching environment. Again, Rangers, one of the top teams in the league in strikeouts to lefties, but you wouldn't know that by the way that they're playing against Paxton right now, who never mind you, is a douche. What do you got?
Wait, what is he?
Paxton? He's a douche. You know,
All
do you
right.
know what that is? Do they still use that word, Cam?
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm just messing with you. So the reason why I really favored Max Scherzer today over Paxton is kind of like Texas to me sneakily has kind of like regressed in a positive manner strikeout wise. Versus lefties here the last couple weeks, they're not striking out as much here, and their ISO is over 200, 231, and 160 plate appearances as well. So you're getting a decrease in strikeouts with an increase in power and run production with this lineup. So it's a little like it's not a great matchup at this point in time for me to really be able to feel confident enough pulling the trigger on Wade LeBlanc. But with that being said, like it is Texas. He's not bad by any means. Like I don't see a whole lot of upside in LeBlanc here. Like I think he could maybe get like 15 to 20 points on a really good day. But in this ballpark, like it's always nice because I think it is like the second best pitcher's ballpark in the MLB. It's usually pretty cold relative to a lot of other fields and hitting environments on the slate. Yeah, 61 degrees tomorrow as well. So I think it's a decent spot for LeBlanc. I'm not sure how popular he'll be tomorrow. I think that is somewhat dependent on how Texas finishes up here against Paxton. Right now, there's zero. They have two guys on with 0 outs in the top of the fifth. So I could see like a scenario where Texas gets like 4 or 5 on Paxton. It kind of leans the public a little bit off LeBlanc here, and then I think this is a scenario where LeBlanc is somewhat interesting, just considering the ballpark and the environment and just how he's pitched, really kind of limiting damage and isn't a guy that really relies on strikeouts and everything. So don't mind it. On the other side, I think there is like merit to somewhat kind of going with like a contrarian, somewhat like a Texas bats. I wouldn't go like a full stack, but I think there's some value that you could poke out on the other side just based off of what I was saying previously, how they've seen a decrease in strikeouts and increase in power and run production and everything. And sneakily too, like Mike Minor here in this ballpark, 4 or 5 against Seattle, in my opinion, is kind of that's I would bet the under on Seattle run total here. Like I don't know. I was just talking to you pre-show. Against left-handed pitching in the last 14 days, Seattle has a 31% strikeout percentage, well below a 100 ISO, not driving in any runs or producing any run production at all, really, the last couple weeks versus lefties. So when you put Minor, take him out of Texas and put him in one of the best pitching ballparks here, I think there is merit at 5K to considering him as well in this spot. Is a guy we've talked about a couple times on the podcast as well, who has a respectable swinging strike rate at 11%. Don't believe like he's an awful pitcher. I think his expected stats and values are relatively average. So if you can give me an average pitcher with swinging strike stuff in a really good pitcher's ballpark, I think there is some merit to playing him here at that price tag at 5.
Yeah, situation where I'm not really into the bats. I think the pitchers are okay. They're both extremely cheap. Great pitching environment. Great pitchers park. Mike Minor, I agree. This is a big park boost. He's not that terrible of a pitcher. He's just a guy that's kind of circumstantial. He's a little young, takes some chances, and when he plays good offenses, it doesn't always work out. But against Seattle, as bad as they look tonight, I could play Mike Minor here and with his ballpark boost. And LeBlanc is okay. I'm not a big fan of LeBlanc. This doesn't have a ton of upside. I think I'd much rather play Minor, who's cheaper, and I think has more strikeout upside as a pitcher. And that's basically it. That's going to do it for the game by game. At this time, I'm going to remind everybody, if you haven't already checked us out at whitestake.com, I don't know what you're waiting for. The nation is hot. The nation is on fire. I personally did not have a good night's slate, but I'm ready to bounce back and keep the hotness going because as a team, we have been really hot. Come check us out, see what we're all about. We get articles. You get articles every day, GPP article, cash article. During the week, if you're lucky, you'll get Cammy Boy's cheat sheet, which has been doing pretty well, I must say, Cam. And not to pat you on the back too hard, I don't want your head to blow up, but it has been pretty damn good. But we also do the Y stream 7 days a week. It's similar to this, but it's a live stream we do an hour and a half before lock. On main slates only, we do it 7 days, but it's for main slates only. And we kind of, after we've done our actual research, this podcast obviously a first look. After we've done our actual research, we dive in and kind of tell you what we found, tell you what we're actually playing for the day. And one cool thing that we're doing, we are doing it tomorrow, is during the week, only during the week, weekdays, when there's no early slates, like real early slates. Tomorrow's 2-game slate does not count. When there's actual early slate, we won't do them. But we've been doing these strategy sessions with the Y State Nation members where we actually have a chat set up and a live stream. We show our screen and we do the research together. I show the stats on the screen. We go through each game. I give you my interpretation. The Nation has a chat room where they can all give their own interpretations. It's a really, really cool thing. It's working out great. We've had members winning constantly since we've started. We had members winning, and now it seems like it's just happening more often and for bigger dollar amounts ever since we started doing that. So it's a great way to learn, a great way to get some strategy in, a great way to make sure that you're getting your research in. And even if you don't have time to do the research yourself, you can just kind of listen in and take notes as we go along. And I give you everything you need to know. We do them around 1:30. I think tomorrow I'm going to shoot for 1:30 the latest, Eastern PM. And, that'll basically be it. But come check us out. $2.50 gets you in for the day. You get a lot of stuff for that $2.50. So, again, the strategy session is not every day. It's weekdays when there's no early slate. So tomorrow is a great day to come check it out and see what we got. Tomorrow we're going to have the whole shebang. We're going to have a cheat sheet from Cam. We're going to have an article from Johnny for Cash Games, Cash and DFS on the GPP article. I'll be doing the strategy session in the morning, and we'll have Cam and Johnny on the Y stream. So it's a phenomenal day to try us out. It's a good slate for it, too. This slate's going to require some research. So $2.50 is all you need to try us out. If you can't afford $2.50 to try us out and give yourself a better chance to win, you probably shouldn't be playing DFS, bro. Probably too broke to be playing DFS. So, all right. The plug is over, Cam. Top threes, man. Who are your top three pitchers tomorrow?
Hold on, let me pull up the slate.
Kind of a loaded question. I didn't see a ton of pitchers I really liked.
Yeah, dude. That's why I think it's definitely going to be a slate where you're going to have to research a lot, because a lot of times I can like go in first look and kind of just like narrow down like 6, 7, 8 guys, and then really like dig deep into like those guys and know who I'm going to play after that. But like really it's kind of hard to make a short list, but I think at first look you could I would maybe rank like Nola, Newcomb, and maybe like a Mike Minor or something would be my 3, but damn, that's kind of ugly.
It's rough. I think for my top 3, I'd have to go with Nola as well, and then I'd probably go Quintana and Seth Lugo with Newcomb right behind.
I forgot about Quintana.
Forgot about lefties against the Mets, Cam. Shame on you.
Yeah, I should just quit.
And like that's like, doesn't that suck to put Quintana in your top 3? Doesn't that feel dirty? Right? That feels dirty.
It does. It's like
need another shower.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you haven't showered in like 3 weeks. So.
No, I haven't. It's been a long time since this man has seen a shower.
So tomorrow's gonna be. I feel like tomorrow's gonna be a slate where like I'll have to figure out who's gonna be highly owned, and then like I don't know if I want to go there, just because unless if I dig deep and like see someone that I really like. But it's one of those weird slates where it's you don't really. I could see this being a slate where people like are forced into liking someone a lot, and then like everyone just goes to the same spots when realistically it's not that good spot.
Kershaw is going to be like ridiculously high on tomorrow. I think people.
Yeah, I guess I could,
because there's not a ton of other options. I think people are just going to be like, oh, it's the Phillies, it's Kershaw, he's back. Like, why not? You know what I mean?
Oh God, dude, that's scary.
Top 3 stacks, Cam.
Shit. Yeah. So I like Houston. This is weird. This slate is ugly. I feel dirty saying San Diego.
Oof, yeah, that is dirty. That's a dirty one.
I kind of like those, like a mini stack of San Diego, Houston, and like Cleveland.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, particularly the Yankees, kind of the obvious choice, but I do think they will be the most popular offense. So just to get a little off the board, and it's not even really off the board, I'm just going to take the other 3 best teams out there, Houston, the Red Sox, and Cleveland, just because they're good offenses. So I think tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if pitching wins the slate, if you can find out the right pitching combo, because there's not a ton to like outside of Kershaw. And so these past couple of days, the chalk pitcher has not worked out so great, at least not on the main slates. But I guess those are the 3 I'd go with. So that's going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please click that thumbs up, that like button, subscribe to the channel. Really helps us out. You can also get notified whenever we do a cool-ass video like this for free. If you're watching us on Facebook, please like and share to support the Wise Take Nation. If you're watching us on Twitch or Twitter, you can follow us on Twitter at @wise_take. And please like and retweet the podcast, as we do greatly appreciate it. If you're listening to us on Podbean or iTunes, give us some 5-star reviews. Help bump us up those charts. Help the nation grow. Don't be an asshole. We ask you to do these things because we really appreciate it. If you're watching the show, at the very least, you can show us a little bit of support, a little bit of love. We do appreciate that. And it helps us to continue to do these shows for you guys for free and to keep the Wise Take Nation alive. So again, In all seriousness, if you could help us out, we'd appreciate it. Cam, any closing thoughts before we get up out of here?
Not really. I mean, definitely gonna have to tune in to all the content tomorrow because it's a tricky slate. It's one of those slates where I think if you don't put in a decent amount of time tomorrow, you're gonna probably struggle because there's not a lot of spots that are very obvious plays, and um, I could see a lot of chalk busting tomorrow and kind of like contrarian stuff that you wouldn't really think of initially kind of going off. So definitely tune in to the content tomorrow to see what we find out with our daily research and everything. Tune into CK's strategy session and go to school and take some notes and then plug in the lineup and win all the money tomorrow. But interesting slate, kind of like it, and should be fun.
Yeah, these are the slates where the skill really kind of comes out. So definitely a great day to try us out. Strategy session for Wise Take Nation subscribers who are already subscribed. Strategy session tomorrow. Don't be late for class. I might be late for class, but you can't be late for class. So, for KamG333, for myself, the entire Wise Take Nation, as always, good luck.